first time we've seen a superstar in green and white sacrifice the body. Scoring it, knocked away.
Welcome into another episode of First to the Floor. Ben Vallis here. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. It is August 21, 49 days until the first game of the preseason. And alongside me for another off-season banger here, it's Wayne Spooney. Spooney, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. We are deep in the content desert right now. So this will be fun, though. This will be fun.
This could be a mirage, or it could be an actual oasis. We'll see. As the man with the mistress with the perfectly shaped head, Jake Eisenberg. How are you, Jake? Welcome back.
Oh, man, I really hope this perfectly shaped head thing is connected to Derek White. I think.
It is.
Fingers crossed. But no, we're good, man. I'm Monday morning. Let's do it.
Let's get into it. All right, well, look, we've got some news to get to a little bit later, but first, the Celtics 2023-24 schedule has been released, and I've typically been someone who doesn't get the hype of the schedule release. Like, we get it, right? There's going to be 82 games, 41 road games, 41 home games, some back-to-backs. Like, we get it. That said, we're balls deep in the offseason, so we've got to try and have some fun with the schedule here, and I thought the best way to do that was to draft the top 10 dates, events, stretches, however you want to slice it, of this upcoming schedule. And for folks listening, for you, this could end up being the top 10 games that you buy tickets for. If you're in another time zone like me, it could be the top 10 days to take off work to watch the Celtics. There is some meaning to this, some purpose. We're getting through it, folks. 49 days. Now, Spoony, Jake, I have randomized the draft order for integrity's sake. I'm just going to run the little clip, the recording here. So this is a fantasy draft randomizer.
Oh, wow.
Now we can see Spoony, then Ben, and then Jake. I don't think we should do snake draft. I don't like snake drafts. I don't like the back-to-back picks. What do you guys think? We can do that if you want.
I mean, as someone with the last pick, I would love a snake draft. So, but
Okay.
no, I'm easy.
Snaky.
That's right.
I don't think it matters given
No.
the content of this draft.
Come
but,
on.
like, in fantasy basketball, are you not doing snake drafts?
I think we do in fantasy basketball, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just
you
making
have to.
Sure, Ben. Yeah. But yeah,
Jeez, I'm on trial
obviously
here.
I don't care if we go snake because it benefits me if we do not. But either way is fine with me, man.
All right,
Do a
well,
random number generator. Odds are snake, evens are not snake.
I think given like the draft purity that you guys are putting on display here, I feel like we have to go. We're compelled to go snake here, so we'll go snake. All right,
Yes.
Spoony, you have the first pick in the very exciting, very exhilarating 23-24 schedule draft. Take it away, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna pander to the crowd here because I actually am more excited for a different game, but I'm going to pick this one just because I think from a value standpoint it will not get back to me.
I know where he's going.
So clearly I've thought this through. I'm going 10-27 home opener against the
Oh.
Miami Heat.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know that there's another one where the maybe potential former Celtic that is definitely not going to get back to me, but I
Nope.
just want to beat the Heat so bad. Yeah, it's like the home opener, the Garden's always absolutely electric. You know, like the whole season's in front of you. I just think that like from an excitement standpoint, those types of games are the best. They almost feel like playoff games, and especially with the Heat coming back to town, we're going to want to prove it against them, even though, you know, it may not be predictive of what would happen in a playoff series next year, but we're going to feel like it, and we're going to want to win very badly.
We're going to kick their ass in this home opener, and like the Dame trade won't have happened yet. They're going to have no one on the roster. Maybe they'll have Duarte, the Australian big man who just dominated France, and Rudy Gobert last night, who Aussie Phil in the chat here apparently had a beer with, which is a fantastically random aside. So
That's amazing.
yeah,
Yeah,
We'll
I
see.
think there's going to be so many teams gunning at the Celtics as sort of one of the current like better rosters and better performing teams last year. Like the Bucks, for example, with their early exit in the playoffs, I feel like they're going to be using every Celtics game as a measuring stick, which is a term I'll use like 10 times in this podcast. The Heat is that for us. Like we're going to be gunning at the Heat given how things ended last year. So I think that's a really good one. With my first pick, though, I am going to go with February 4,
Yeah,
Grizzlies at Boston, the obvious one. I'm surprised this fell to me at number 2.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart, like, you know, obviously back playing the Celtics. We will have already played the Grizzlies Spoiler alert. At that point in time, but in Memphis, this is going to be Smart's first game back in TD Garden. We only get to see him once, having him having gone rather to a Western Conference foe. It's going to be tribute videos. They'll save him to last in the player announcements. Like, he's going to get the full treatment, Jake. I'm very excited for it.
Yep. And I thought this was going to be on Super Bowl Sunday when I checked the calendar, but it's actually the week prior. If you remember, we played the Grizzlies the day of the Super Bowl last season as well, and we kicked their ass. So John Morant's never beaten the Celtics in his career as a Grizzly. I believe Tatum has lost to the Grizzlies as a Celtic. I have a feeling that when Marcus Smart comes back to Boston, he might be having a 7 for 9 from 3. Yeah.
Yes. It would be so Marcus Smart, Spoonie, to do that.
Yeah, from a value standpoint, the only reason I didn't pick this one is because we will have already played him, so the luster just gets taken off just a little bit. I was picking between this one and the home opener against the Heat. So,
sure.
Yeah, it's going to be electric. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be emotional, man. That coming home video is going to be tearjerker.
And there's so much competition out there. We have put our entry into the ring. It's on our YouTube channel from I guess a couple of months ago now. There's a Marcus Smart tribute video, and every other Celtics podcast outlet, whatever you want to call it, they've all got one out there as well. So the team there at the Celtics are going to have to really set the bar really high there at a premium for that Smart tribute video.
I mean, they should have all the access. They should have the secret Marcus Smart vault with all this extra stuff that we don't have access to. So yeah. But we'll see if they're able to hold up. All right, so I got back-to-back picks here. So I got to be hopefully not run out of options on my list here. That's probably the more important part. So March 1st, home for the Dallas Mavericks. So on the surface, it's like, it's Grant Williams coming home. Sure, there's that element. Obviously, we have Kyrie. Mm-hmm. There's going to be the Kyrie element. Don't forget that Porzingis in Dallas went very badly, and he got traded for pennies on the dollar to Washington. So he also has a chip on his shoulder against Dallas. So you've got Grant Williams revenge, Kyrie Irving versus TD Garden, Porzingis revenge game on Dallas. So, and then also you've got this the overarching battle for the best player 25 and under between Luka and Tatum, who's gonna take that belt on this night. And so I feel like that has a lot more elements than I at first thought. And I was like, I don't really care too much about Grant coming home. When you add in Kyrie, Grant, KP, and Tatum versus Luka, it's pretty juicy all of a sudden.
Yeah. When you first said it, I was like, oh, Kyrie angle. I didn't even consider the Porzingis angle, but he's definitely going to want to kill them. And Luka always rips our hearts out with a buzzer beater too. So we'll want to get that monkey off our back a little bit. So yeah, that's a fun one, man. And I think Grant will ham it up a little bit. He's going to be mouthing off like crazy. The crowd's going to be screaming at him. So that'll be a fun one.
Grant Williams is going to absorb every ounce of that moment, from getting out of bed that day in Boston to walking out of the arena at the end of the game. He is going to be there for it. What do you guys think is on the Grant Williams tribute video, Spoonie? Bucks, right? The Bucks game, 7 threes, 7 for 18, mind you. I always have to bring that up. It wasn't the most efficient shooting night. Especially given how open he was. But what else is on that tribute video, guys?
I don't know, Jake. You got anything?
Well, it would be all that playoff run. It would be him defending Giannis, him defending KD and Kyrie. Those are the moments. You took the words right out of my mouth, Ben. Do we get a Grant Williams tribute video?
Yes.
I think we do. Yeah, I think that's just what you do these days.
I would love to know what the lowest tier Celtics player or ex-Celtic player was who actually got a tribute video. If you're listening, call in, let us know. We want to we want to know.
Try to do that.
Yeah,
but did Tice get one? I'm trying. I don't think he
think so.
Did he get one twice?
Yeah,
the man's so nice. They gave him 2 2 tribute videos.
Zizic get one, but
oh, poor Daniel Tice, our good friend, got just posterized by Anthony Edwards in FIBA today, and that's why we love Tice. That's why we loved Baines.
No fear.
these FIBA international guys don't care about being going viral on Twitter. They're always going to jump. Danny 2 blocks wasn't quite able to get that one done.
Danny 2 blocks. All right, I'm going to cross March 1 Mavs at Celtic off my list.
So,
I had that at number 8.
So now I'm trying to decide, because I got a couple of ones I don't think will be picked. So I'm gonna leave them in hopes that they get back to me here. I'm gonna take one of the obvious ones. Christmas Day, Lakers, Celtics in LA. I mean, if you saw the national TV schedule come out, it's like it lists how many national games each team has. The Celtics, I think, were third. The Warriors had 41. The Lakers had 35. The Celtics had 30. Lakers Celtics is still the card in the NBA. There's absolutely no doubt about it. LeBron, coming off both teams coming off conference finals appearances. Christmas is still early enough in the season where both teams should be relatively healthy. This is going to be the prime time matchup on Christmas Day. The only shitty part about it is it's the end of a road trip. So we play Warriors, then Kings on a back-to-back, Clippers, and then Lakers is the last game on the road trip. So Adam Silver's done us a little bit dirty here, but I have no doubt that our good friend Jason Tatum will turn up as the second highest point total average he has is against our good friends the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, Christmas Day, it's always the best. I love if it's like a 3 p.m. game. I don't know how that is for you guys as far as, is that like
Perfect.
5 a.m. for you?
It's like 5 a.m., yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's
Perfect.
tough, but it's just so nice. Like Christmas Day, you do all the family stuff. You have a nice big lunch, and then you crack a few beers and watch some NBA basketball all afternoon. So it's great. LeBron, the Lakers, that is the NBA, man. That is the NBA. So it's a huge one.
I'm so used to looking down on the Lakers as well because they've been pretty terrible. Obviously they won a championship in the bubble, the most fraudulent championship of all time. But aside from that, they've been pretty bad for the last decade or so. And they made the Western Conference Finals last year, like you said, and they had such a terrible start to the season. And AD's inconsistency with staying healthy, and even LeBron now as he ages. I'm kind of surprised where they ended the season, and having to sort of circle back on my perception of that Celtics-Lakers matchup and how it is actually two of the more dominant teams going head-to-head on Christmas Day. And the format here in Australia is you have Christmas, you get Christmas Day out of the way, you go to bed, you wake up at 3 a.m. for the first game, which typically seems to always be in Madison Square Garden, and you just keep it rolling until, I guess, the early afternoon. And then pre-kids in my life, you'd sleep away the rest of the day, but now you just kind of grin and bear it and keep soldiering on. But it's a fun Boxing Day here in Australia, and that's definitely going to be the highlight of it. Okay, so I've crossed that off my list. December 25, Celtics at Lakers. My second pick. Oh no, sorry, we're snaking. See, this is I'm all discombobulated here. Spoony, we're back to you.
Classic Ben, trying to stolen his segment with the face off, and now he's trying to steal his picks.
I know.
Hold on. No.
It's the off season everywhere.
Didn't Jake just have two?
It is. It actually is Ben's turn.
It's you, Ben.
Oh, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. All right.
All right. Then I get two.
May have been out late last night for the World Cup final, so forgive me. So my second pick, January 13, the Rockets at Boston. This is Ime Udoka's return to TD Garden. I'll ask the obvious question. I think the answer's obvious as well, Spoony. Does Udoka get booed by the TD Garden fans?
I think there's going to be a weird half and half boo cheers, and I think it's going to be kind of uncomfortable, frankly.
Oh, yes.
I'll be interested to, the players, especially Smart, which obviously doesn't matter anymore, but the players have been, pretty, not pretty positive. They have been, unequivocally extremely positive about their experience with Ime Udoka, so I think there's a pretty large percentage of the fan base who feels like it was a mistake to let him go. I do not agree with that at all. I think that was the right decision, but I think it could get a little weird, honestly.
It's going to be weird. But at the same time, there's going to be juice, I think, with...
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's a good pick. And part of Ime's... lock up your girlfriends. Ime's coming to town. Yeah, watch out. I do think... Part of Ime's whole thing was he was a competitive arsehole, right? That was kind of his stick. And I do think that Tatum's going to want to kick the hell out of Ime. I have as much as he loves him, that he wants that respect from Ime, and he wants to show him you screwed up a little bit here.
I don't get that vibe from the players. I think it's all love, which is problematic.
I love my best friend. He's staying here with me for a few days after coming back from Sydney, and we're playing fantasy football together. I want to ruin his life every day. So, like,
Fair.
yeah, you know, he's going to do a great speech at my wedding, but, like, anything competitive, I need to destroy his soul, you know?
Yeah, if Tatum was playing Kobe, he'd want to dominate Kobe. You know what I mean? It's like the same kind of, like, I don't know if he idolizes Udoka, but it's a sort of friendly competitiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, Jake. Like, I love my buddies. I want to murder them.
All right,
me.
I guess
sorry.
so. We must have different ideas of a snake draft because.
Me, you, Jake, you, me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You.
All right.
Jake,
Maybe
Jake.
you guys should just call out the picks. I'm clearly
All right,
not
it's
with
me.
it today.
It's me for two. It's me for two.
Yeah.
I'm struggling here,
All right.
folks.
Okay, I'm going off early, which is a common problem I have. I'm going the season opener, 10-25 at the Knicks. Like, MSG opened the season. The Knicks, like, we had Trill on last episode, and he was like, the Knicks play you guys tough. And, like, deep down, I want to be like, did you see their shooting numbers? Like, they were just crazy hot. Like, we're way better than them. But, like, we went 1-3 against them. So I'm big on my revenge kick right off, set the tone of the season early. And it's always fun to be an MSG, like Spike Lee, you know, going crazy on the sidelines.
Yeah.
All sorts of – there's going to be a lot of famous people in the crowd. They have a really good home crowd, too. So I think that's going to be a highlight of the season. Hopefully it's a big dub.
Yeah, well, the last time we opened the season in New York, right, it was Horford missed it because he had his first out of 1 million COVID cases. Mm-hmm. And then Jalen had just come back in time from COVID, had like 40 plus, double OT, and they lost, I think, right? And
Got the
then
smart
Fournier
buzzer beater.
have like 40.
Yeah.
Who-
His last good game.
Yeah.
I think he legitimately cooked again last night too, Fournier. He can't get on the floor, and then Celtics and FIBA, it's already comes in
Tough.
hot. Yeah.
It's tough.
All right. So I'll go again. There's a bunch that I have now that are all just kind of like similarly, like they'll all be similarly good. So I'm picking between a couple. I'm gonna stay on my revenge theme. We have a back-to-back at home with Cleveland, 12-12, 12-14. They're kind of like the new NBA nerd, like, love team. Like, oh, man, nobody realizes how good Cleveland actually is. We went 1-3 against them last year. Again, it's another case of like, yeah, but Karis LeVert had 40. Like, come on, there's some weird stuff happening. Tatum got fouled and not dunked. Like, so that could have easily been 3-1. So I know, Ben, you said we could take stretches, right? It's okay if I take 2 games. Yeah. And
Super loose
think,
approach here.
Yeah. All right, cool. And the kind of the back-to-back games like that, they're doing that more to cut down on travel. They kind of feel like a playoff series a little bit when you're playing the same team in your building 2 games in a row. And Cleveland's going to be very good. I'll be interested to see what Mobley can do next year. So I think that'll be a good test in December, which is like when teams are really kind of starting to get their rotations right. You've knocked off the rust a little bit. Teams are finding their groove. So, and that's like 2 weeks before Christmas, a week and a half before Christmas. So it should be kind of a nice lead up.
Like it.
So I believe that is 6 picks now as I begin to wake up here. I think each of us have had 2. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, and I could very well be wrong.
That is my
Jake.
third.
Well, yeah. So,
That might have been the 7th pick then.
Because he was drafted, yeah.
This is going well.
Yeah. Killing it.
Yeah,
That's
so
my
you're
third because I got Knicks, Heat, both Cleveland games.
So Ben, you're on the clock now.
Yes.
I'm going to go with and this is a stretch, selecting a stretch here, the month of March.
Okay.
So to begin the month of March,
Hang on.
the whole schedule.
Fifth of the season.
I got to adjust my board here. Hold on.
I will take.
I mean, you can still like nitpick individual components of the month of March.
All
But
right,
so the month of March begins with a 5-game road trip in early March. It's Cleveland, Denver, Phoenix, then Portland and Utah. Then we're home, and then we immediately play the Phoenix Suns, like the day after we get home. There's not even a long break there. Then back out on a 6-game road trip to end the month. Detroit, Chicago, the home 2 double away games rather at Atlanta. So Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, Pelicans, and Charlotte. So not particularly challenging opponents at that point, but it's our second massive road trip within 1 month. And then we play the Bucks the game before heading off on that second road trip there. So it's a tumultuous month. We spend a lot of time on the road. There's some difficult opponents sort of positioned in difficult ways. And it's going to be a test for the Celtics at a time in March there where, the attention span maybe starts to wane a little bit. Maybe injuries and wear and tear is starting to peak at that point in the season. March, it's a birthday month for me. I believe it is for Spoonie as well. I don't think we're going to be blessed with very happy birthdays as Celtics fans. I think it's going to be a tough month.
This is exactly when the Celtics let us down. We're going to be fighting for the best record in the league, and then we're going to lose to. It's going to be funny. We're going to win the Cleveland, Denver, Phoenix games, but we're going to drop the back-to-back against Portland and Utah. It's just going to, and then we're going to have the emotion and drama of needing to trade and shouldn't have traded this person. But then we'll bounce back right afterwards and beat Phoenix at home. So it's we beat Cleveland, Denver in the 2 Phoenix games, but why did we drop the 2 games that we should have won against Portland and Utah? Because these are our family members and they like to hurt us when we least expect it.
Yeah, let us down at the worst moments. And there's a little bit of spiciness with the Utah stuff with Danny Ainge. I don't know. I kind of feel like I want to beat Danny and beat Utah. Mm-hmm. And, Scoot Henderson, Portland, that's going to be I think they're going to be, fun. They're going to be bad, but I think they'll be an interesting team to watch. They're going to lose, 135, 120 a lot. But, and I feel like we play Portland really well anyway. So, but, yeah, you'll probably lose that one. So that's a good stretch. I like that. 2 Phoenix games within 2 weeks. That's bizarre, man. You don't
Bucks
see
as
that
well.
happen. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
March.
March.
Who's next? I have no idea.
All right. I got 2 picks now. So try and decide what to do here. I don't think anyone's going to take my 3 picks. So here we go. April 9th at Bucks. This is going to be the decider for the 1 seed in the NBA right here. And we're going to blow them out because that's what we did last time. We just proceeded to lose against the Wizards by 20. And KP dropped 40 on us.
Yes.
And as we punted away the 1 seed. After pretending like we cared about the 1 seed or didn't care about the 1 seed and kept changing, their players seem to keep changing their minds dependent on whether or not they won a big game or lost a bad game. But this game is going to be big at Bucks. As you said, Ben, measuring stick game. The Celtics would have probably blown the doors off the Bucks twice already in the regular season. The Bucks probably won 1 game where we didn't have a couple players. And then this is going to be the pre-playoffs 1 seed versus 2 seed. Jaylen Brown has 39 points game is my prediction. And we get to talk our shit as we go into the playoffs. And hopefully we actually meet this time as opposed to both being dispatched by the devil magic that is Miami Heat.
Yeah, every game with the Bucks is a big one. They're all going to be fun. I think I've got a couple of the Bucks games on my list here, and this is one of them. So, yeah, the only problem with April games is you just never quite know who's going to be playing, who's going to be fully healthy. Because I feel like if it's April, if you've even got a minor injury at all, you're probably not going to play since it's so close to the playoffs. But I mean, it's the Bucks, man.
Because it might matter though. That's the thing. It could be
right.
If the winner of that game takes the tiebreaker for the season series. Is we're separated by 1 or 2 games.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Jake, it is your pick again.
That's right, Ben. You're on it. He's coming back. He's coming back. All right.
I apologize to all the listeners out there. I am struggling today. Go ahead.
So, the in-season tournament, the inaugural, coming up this season. We play the team that's in our pool, the Orlando Magic. We play them back-to-back as pool games for the in-season tournament. Everybody, I'm sure, remembers, we struggled mightily against the Orlando Magic last season. It would be really nice for us to come in and show the Magic that those are flukes. We have the capability to beat the Orlando Magic. There's not just this weird matchup problem with this team. And we just take care of business, because everybody's going to be going into these games being like, well, the Celtics have no chance of winning the US in-season tournament because the Orlando Magic's in our group. Can we just win both of those games and be a normal contender for once? That would be great. I would appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, the Magic stuff is strange. Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
Well, like, we can lose to the Magic and win out our other group stage games and still progress to the next round of the tournament, right?
You can, but that would involve also having to win those games because you dropped the other ones.
Sure. Yeah, got it. Okay.
I mean,
yeah,
let's just win them.
Go ahead, Spoonie.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I tweeted about Paulo's shooting stats and their 3 wins against us, and I'm pretty sure he ended the season shooting 29% from 3, something like that. And he shot
high.
70% against us from 3 in their wins.
Yeah.
So it's like,
That's annoying.
yeah, it's extremely annoying, and they're like, they play us very annoying. We just have trouble because they're so freaking huge too. So, I think they're gonna be pretty good this year too, man. Like, I think they might like be in the mix for a play-in spot. So, and it's kind of fun that they're the pool games. Like, I don't know how much people are going to care. I think I will probably care a little bit more for the pool games.
So I was thinking about this, right? They're already regular season games. So we already care quite a lot anyway. So the players, and so you just add even if it's 5, 10, 15% more intensity and care onto these in-season tournament games, that's going to be enough to make them just a little bit juicier. And you add in the fact of like this little mini rivalry that's developed between the Celtics and the Magic over the years, and them just being chock full of Celtics killers. I don't know how Terrence Ross must have just done a blood sacrifice to transfer his Celtics killing prowess over to Paolo in France. It's very frustrating.
I do think the Magic, they're going to be like front and center on the Celtics revenge tour this year, along with like the Heat and the Knicks, who I believe, like the Knicks, we've lost our last 3 games against. So I think Knicks are number 1, Heat obviously right up there, Magic as well, because it was a weird like monkey that we couldn't shake off our back. They have lost some of that size, not that it was effective like forms of that size, but Mo Bamba also gone, but that's not the size that we were worried about, I guess. So that was the 10th pick, I believe.
Yeah.
So we should get to some honorable mentions. Spoonie, you look like you've got something on the tip of your tongue there.
I was going to say, we might as well just draft 12 and finish out the round, right?
Sure,
and
okay.
Who cares, right?
All right, let's see. What have we got here? You guys have chosen most of my choices here, so...
Nice, good
all right,
drafting.
Stepping on Spoonie's toes here a little, I'll say opening week. So,
oh, wow, come on.
stepping on his toes a lot. Stepping on his foot and maybe trampling his knees a little bit as
How
well.
many more games are there after the Knicks and the Heat in that first week?
I think 1.
The Wiz, and Indy.
That's a blockbuster too, yeah.
And Indy, who I think like Indiana might sneaky give us the most trouble out of those 4 teams. But I've put here next to that opening week schedule 4-0 ? Because like the Celtics roster is good. Like it's probably
I think that's fair, Ben. I think that's
top
a very
3.
fair
Bit of a hot take.
They are the favorites to win the title.
There you go. And so you look at that stretch, and I guess I need to start believing that as the Celtics mature, as the Jays mature, again, I need to start believing this as a human being who like has to navigate, the world and go to sleep at night and things like that. I need to believe that the Jays have matured and are going to start to get over this shooting themselves in the foot period of their career where they lose games, going into the fourth quarter up 12. I need to believe that they're going to start to summit that mountain. And therefore, you look at this stretch to begin the week, and through rose-colored glasses, it's hard to imagine the Celtics losing to any of those teams. And so therefore, I think a 4-0 start is like not an unreasonable thing to expect. And therefore, that would make it a premier part of the entire schedule for the Celtics.
They will be favored in every game. But what about this universe? We lose, we go like 2-2 or 1-3, and it's like, what we clearly are missing is Marcus Smart, and there's a weird fit. Like we're not used to the Porzingis thing. Like and now we're looking up like, hey, the Celtics record in the year that they won the title in 2000 and X, Y, and Z was actually really bad in the first 2 weeks, and this title team's record in the first month of the season was really bad, and they still won the title. I do think there's a potential for like the getting used to playing this new style with Porzingis with no Marcus Smart has the potential to be some growing pains in the first week or first month. I think that's also very possible. They also went 21-5 to start the season last year. So we'll see.
Yeah, I
Thoughts,
wonder
Spoony?
if they'll I wonder if they won't take the first month quite as serious as they did last year. Although last year their defense wasn't particularly good, they just didn't miss, and that's fueled a lot of it. So, yeah, Indy's really fun. Like we have really fun games against Indy and Washington too. Although a lot of that was Porzingis last year, so maybe not the case.
Jordan Poole.
Yeah, sure. They're gonna be what a weird team, man. That's gonna be
go.
bizarre. But so yeah, I always look forward to the indie games. Plus, little homecoming, get to watch my guy Aaron Nesmith, ball out, injure Jason Tatum almost.
Yes, yeah. Crash Bandicoot. Can we just settle down anytime you're around Jason Tatum, please?
Yeah.
All right, we got one more pick.
Yeah. So we can't go an entire draft of games we're looking forward to without a Philly game, right? Like we got to look forward to the Philly game.
But maybe that's just where we're at mentally. I feel like we did the last two Schadenfreude reports. It felt like we put them 6 feet under the ground.
It's true, we did. But I'm one to stomp on
of course.
Down man. Yeah,
Because
whatever.
Embiid, well, Embiid will be probably good, and there'll be like momentum for again. For like here he goes, MVP, and then we'll destroy them. But no, I didn't even consider Philly for my list at all.
Yeah, so I got 11-8 at Philly. I think it's our first game against Philadelphia. I prefer Philly's like the one team I look forward to playing them away more than at home. So I think just Tatum ripping their hearts out again in Philadelphia, setting the tone like nothing's changed. Philadelphia, sorry. I think we got to have one on here. We got to have one Philly game. It's the last pick.
I'm glad I made it.
Yeah, if I was ever to be able to become like a top tier computer hacker, one of the things I would love to do is hack into this Philadelphia 76ers like Jumbotron and just play highlights of Game 7, Tatum at home, the confetti game, Ben Simmons being a coward. Like there's just an absurd amount of stuff you could just, and it'd be like PTSD. It would almost be torture. So it may, well, that's the thing about being a hacker. I'd have my, I guess it's called IP address hidden. Ben would probably know better about how to hack than I would. But that's what I would. That would be like my first task. Would be figuring out how to hack into the Sixers Jumbotron.
Leave your IP exposed, man. Let them know. It's the first podcast doing all the dirty work. We're not an official entity, so there's no one to sue. I'm glad Philly made it. We might have to rename the segment the Hardenfreude Report because he's just giving us so much content.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. I'm glad Philly made it. So honorable mentions, I'll just rattle off a few. I think most of my 10 or so choices have been chosen. So honorable mentions, November 19th, the Celtics at Grizzlies. So that's the first interaction with Marcus Smart. I'm a little worried about, injury concerns from the Celtics perspective, just because Marcus Smart is just going to be going so hard at his former teammates. I've also got November 22, which is Bucks in Boston. Nationally broadcast game, measuring stick game. We're on the Bucks' radar for their revenge tour, so the Bucks are going to be like bringing it, and it's early for them. Like we've talked about them being less of a threat in this upcoming season because of the agingness. Some of their players are getting old, for lack of a better term.
Maturity.
And there you go. Early in the season, that's going to be less of a concern for them, so they're going to be bringing it and trying to show the league and fans and whatnot that they're the better team in the East. So that's going to be a big one. And then finally, January 19. Denver at Boston, game 1 of the Denver Cup for 2023-2024. Another measuring stick game. Obviously, they won the title last year. My mate Dice has been just nauseatingly consistent with him trash-talking me about the Celtics being terrible and the Denver Nuggets winning the championship. So it's a big game in my little world here. So those are my honorable mentions. Spoonie, what have you got?
I've got February 1st, Lakers in Boston. Always a big game when the Lakers come to Boston.
Huge.
And then 12/23 at the Spurs, our first look at Wemby. I think that's kind of cool.
Ooh,
He's supposedly going to be like this huge, LeBron superstar level guy. So first time we're playing him, kind of fun. Right before Christmas too, everybody's off of work. Like those are always. if this was in Boston, I would try to go because I'll probably be home. But unfortunately, it's in San Antonio, which is quite a far ways away. So, everybody, you can just like drink. You don't have to worry about work. It's Christmas Eve the next day. You're playing Wemby. Like it's probably going to be a little later at night too. So I think that'll be a cool one.
Love that. Love that. I mean, like, it's crazy, the NBA right now. Like, every team has, for the most part, some kind of draw card, whether it's Wemby, like this new Rockets core with Udoka at the helm, and, like, Scoot. Danny Ainge has, like, this treasure trove of young things. And, like, outside of the Wizards, I feel like maybe the Hornets, like LaMelo and Brandon Miller's pretty unenticing to me. But but Tatum drops 50 on them every night. So it's like that makes it very exciting. But yeah, Wemby coming to town, so many of these young players, it's like super exciting.
Even Minnesota, like Anthony, I'll watch Ant all
Yep.
day, man. He's exciting. So yeah, there's very few teams where I'm not like, wow, that's it. I almost put an OKC game on here just because I think their team's so fun and they beat us.
I was gonna say
crushed us. Yeah.
that's my honorable mention is at OKC. That's right, because if you remember, I was in the mountains, and that's the only game that I missed all season was the OKC beat down by like 50 points. And so I did not go back and watch that game because so in my mind it never happened. But I think it is important to remind OKC that that was a fluke. It's important that every fan base and every team knows who the Celtics are and what they're about and what they're capable of. And also, selfishly, like when people in Australia ask Josh Giddey, like who's the toughest players to play, toughest teams to play, he doesn't mention the Celtics because they actually have played us very tough for his whole career because the Celtics completely disregard them as an important opponent, and the Thunder play harder than anybody in the league, which is why they always play the Celtics tough because the Celtics do not take them seriously. And they should be taking them seriously now because Shea, Giddey, Chet. So I need next time someone asks Giddey with a microphone in his mouth in Australia, who's tough? And he's going to be like, that boy Jason Tatum.
Luke Cornett, unguardable. All right, great. So some excellent honorable mentions there. Anything else at all before we move on?
I'm out. That's it. My draft board's empty.
Yeah,
All
my
right,
last
very-
pick is the entire season. I'll ABT.
I'll take the playoffs.
We should have just done that. It would have been a much shorter podcast. All right, quick break to hear from our sponsor.
The CLNS Media Network is powered by Fanduel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed.
That's right. Football season is about to kick off, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to win all season long because right now, when you bet on a Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season. Just pick any team to win the Super Bowl, and you'll get bonus bets for every victory. You can use your bonus bets on spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/Boston. Guys, we've done a lot of live ad reads, and I feel like we've been over this and shared like how one would approach this excellent offer by FanDuel. Gamble responsibly. So I don't know, like we could probably just move on unless you've got any thoughts.
No, I mean that it's Eagles and Chiefs. That's our #1 pick for this bet. Panthers over 7.5 wins is my bet that I kind of like a little bit. I think that division's really bad. I think they've got some talent, and you can kind of get some good value on that. So that's my random NFL bet of the day.
Cool. That's good stuff.
On the Bengals bandwagon, Joe Burrow, round plus 750 for MVP.
Okay.
They're the best team in the league. He's going to win MVP. So, like, I'm telling you, I put that in. I got the Bengals to win. Like, I'm riding with them, baby.
All right.
I'm riding.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Shout out to FanDuel, FanDuel.com/Boston. Some news items to get to very quickly. And tell me, Jake, if this is news, this is Jason Tatum working out with the caption "Energy!" !! And we see in the background, it's the offseason, folks. I see Brett Hampton. I also see one former Celtic NBA Finals MVP. Thoughts? Like, I guess it's good, right? That they're hanging out. Like, he's in LA, and of all the LA people, all the NBA people he could be hanging out with, it's the captain and the truth, number 34, Paul Pierce. Is this a thing?
Oh yeah. I tweeted the next thing from the Snapchat where it's like Pierce is on one knee doing like shoulder presses with one bicep. I love it, man. Pierce has fully embraced just being Mr. Celtics since leaving. Like, we all want KG to be that guy, but like it makes a little bit of sense to me that, you know, KG's not around Boston and the guys as much as Pierce was, because literally Pierce's entire career for the most part was in Boston. But I love seeing these guys hang out. I love seeing him constantly mentoring. I do think it's very brave of Paul Pierce to attempt Jason Tatum's workout despite having a blood, you know, content of like THC and alcohol making up like probably more than half at this point. Every time he's live, it's like there's minimum one mind-altering substance in your bloodstream right now, and I'm happy for him. But yeah, this is great. Anytime I get Pierce in my life, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's cool. It kind of harkens back to the KG Pierce video when they were going through the practice facility, and Pierce was like begging KG to like get back involved with the team, and Pierce has been putting his money where his mouth is, man. Like, he's proved it. He's there. He's working. I can't believe that they decided to meet up at a gym. I think that was probably pretty low on Pierce's like suggested locations to hang out.
That's got to be Tatum's people pushing for that.
I do love that Tatum's just like, you just have no worries about his commitment, his, you know, commitment to his body and his craft. Like, he took a couple of weeks off, whatever, but he is going to come in again as one of the most well-conditioned athletes in the world, in the NBA, like every single year, 70 plus games, leading the league in minutes. And I do sled pushes. There's so much more weight on his sled than mine. Like, so much more weight.
It's like four Jakes on his sled.
It's so many Jakes on his sled. It's unbelievable. Like equal amount of Deuces and Jakes fit on that same thing.
If someone said to me, "Hey, did you hear Tatum was hanging out with Paul Pierce?" my initial response would be, "Oh no, what's gone wrong?" But so this is pretty tame. This is pretty good.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Cool. Well, call in. Let us know how many Jakes do you sled pull and sled push. We'd love to find out. Love to hear from you. All right. So this is from moving on from EuroLeague basketball. A tweet: the probability of Svi Mihailuk joining Panathinaikos, I've said that terribly wrong, is increasing with each passing minute. Mihailuk, who did not accept the offers he received from the NBA, is now closer to joining that team that I tried to pronounce before and failed. Panathinaikos? Is that right? Anyway.
That sounds better. I don't know if that's actually better, but yeah.
Cool. I think I would have practiced before we went live. Looks like he's not going to be a Boston Celtic, is the point here, guys. So I guess to try and spin this into something Celtics related, who do you think now the focus shifts to, Spoonie, from Brad Stevens' perspective?
OKC's got a roster crunch big time, so I'll be interested to see. They've got some interesting young guys that they got via like several trades. They were originally drafted by Houston with Garuba and Ty Washington. So I wonder if they're eyeing that. Brad seems to like that type of profile of guy, like the younger, hungry guy, as opposed to just like the straight up vet. But I mean, Blake's still out there, right? Like, we haven't brought Blake back. And it was one of you two who was like, I think Blake is just waiting, or it might have been Trill said, I'm just waiting for training camp to be over. Then he's going to have to report, which may be what's happening here. So maybe that's what's going on. But we got 2 roster spots. There's room for a vet and then kind of a younger guy with some upside. So I'll keep a close eye on OKC during training camp.
Interesting.
Yeah. I had talked myself into it just enough where I'm like 6% sad that he's not a Celtic now. But yeah, 'cause I thought he was a pretty good fit for your 14th guy. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm all in on the OKC roster crunch thing, by the way, as well. Particularly Kenrich Williams, who it's not as simple as like poaching someone that they waive. There's some trade mechanics that have to happen, and us risking going over that second apron. But I'm a little concerned about the lack of depth, and we talk about Brad Stevens maybe being done, and I just really hope he's not, because we've still got some holes to fill, and we've just got we're very top heavy, and we're an injury or two away from having a really bad season, and we need to rest guys, and a guy like Kenrich Williams could come in and just fill a bit of a void here. Jake finds this hilarious. I want to know why.
Ben, because like, if we're not deep, then like then that's part of this new CBA is that there's no one is deep. Like the Celtics go like very comfortably 9 guys deep, and that's before you include like O'Shea, Brissett, and Walsh and Banton, which I'm not sure you should be including those guys in your main rotation. But like you go 9 deep up to Pritchard, like the Bucks would kill for that depth, the Warriors would kill for that depth, the Heat would kill for that depth. Like the top teams aren't deep, and every team is 2 injuries away from having a disastrous season. So like you're right. It would be awesome if we were able to bring in Kendrick Williams, but I think in the context of the rest of the NBA, the rest of the contenders, we are the deepest team still. And thankfully, our 2 best players are 2 of the more durable stars in the NBA. So don't worry.
I'll never not worry, Jake. I'll never not worry. And like, are you going for it or not? Like, just if you've got the TPE, this guy fits into it perfectly. You know, just go for it. Like, why not go all the way in? Like, because really the window is now, especially like Horford's not getting any younger. It's now. So just do it. Like, go all in. Push all your chips into the middle of the table. Don't like hang on to one chip that you can walk away from the table, flipping in your hand and walking in and cashing that in for a beer. Like, put them all in the middle. It's frustrating to me. Anyway,
It's not happening.
No,
It's not happening.
I disagree.
You're right.
Keep your powder. Keep your powder dry. You're one of the best teams in the league. There's no point, in my opinion, compromising your ability to like have this long window before the Tatum really hits his prime. Like if you hit that second apron to bring in Kendrick Williams, who we're not even sure can play in the playoffs, I think could be a mistake if it's going to push you over that second apron. So
I know you guys are probably right. That keeps me up at night. sorry, Spoonie.
No, I was just going to say, there's, some serious cons to bringing him in now because of the new CBA. And, like, I hope those are the reasons, and it's not because Wick and company just doesn't want to pay the luxury tax. Like, if that's the reasoning, then that makes me very unhappy. But, yeah, like, that TPE is going to be there until next offseason. Like, you never know who's going to shake loose at the trade deadline or something like that. So if you use it now, you can limit yourself. But if now's the time to strike because, they need to get rid of somebody on the cheap and he's not going to cost you more than a couple seconds and going over the apron, maybe it's worth it. So, but it's not happening. They're not going over the apron. They're not going to do it.
yeah, and Wick has proved that he's not scared of the tax, right? Like that he's as close to the second apron as you really can be. So he's proved he's willing to pay the tax. If this new CBA doesn't happen, I think Grant's still on the team. They use this like they wouldn't have this TPA in that case. They were willing to spend as much as they needed to have this roster. So as you've covered, the CBA has screwed the Celtics disproportionately for their ability to win a title with this current core, more so than other teams. But that's life.
Something else that has screwed the Celtics at times, although not to the same degree as the CBA, is Tatum's shooting and the continual drop-off from his rookie season. Jake, I know you've put some stats in our run sheet here about Tatum shooting and why or why not it might turn around in this upcoming season. So what do you got for us from that perspective?
So I actually do think this is kind of important because the Celtics' ability to win a title, yes, we can talk about bringing in Kendrick Williams for $4.5 million, but Jason Tatum is basically going to be the reason we do or do not win the title, like really when it comes down to it. And we all know when that 3 ball, specifically the pull-up 3, is going, he is literally unguardable. He's dropping 51 in Philly. He's dropping 46 in Milwaukee. He's unstoppable 3-level destruction force of nature. And he was famously like one of the worst pull-up shooters in the NBA last season. He's 35% from 3, basically flat the last 2 seasons. And prior to that, he was like pretty much around the 40% mark. And there's a lot of theories around what it is. And like there's the wrist injury. I personally don't think it's the wrist. Because if it was, he would have gotten surgery. And for context as well, right? He's shooting 40% on catch and shoot threes last season. I don't remember the catch and shoot stats from the year prior, but those numbers are still good. The free throw numbers are still at 85% despite the volume going up and up. So like, I don't think it's a wrist thing. Like why so the wrist only bothers him on pull-up threes, but not on catch and shoot and free throws. The other theory is the muscle. He added too much muscle. He's gotten bigger, but he hasn't gotten like bulky. Like he hasn't had like a Giannis type muscle transformation. Every NBA player that comes in at 19 years old puts on a lot of size. Like Kawhi, Paul George, Steph Curry is famously like way bulkier than he was earlier in his career and is still one of the best shooters of all time. I just do not buy that at all is the reason that he's can't shoot now, especially when you look at the other numbers with catch and shoot and free throws, that the added muscle, which he's been very gradually building, is impacting his overall shot. I think he's just taking more difficult shots and his volume of threes is just like a little bit too high. Like I don't think he's a good enough shooter where he should be like third or fourth in the league in 3-point attempts. I think he should probably be more in like the 10 to 15 range and be mixing his shot diet into the mid-range a little bit more.
Yeah, so I have some stats, Jake. Sorry,
Good.
Ben. I don't mean to cut you off, but like they go perfectly with what you just described, okay? So these include pull-ups and catch and shoot. He took 92 wide-open threes last year, 42.4%. 356 open threes last year, 36.5%. Combined, that's like 39-40% on open and wide-open threes. He took 235 contested threes. Second on the team was Jaylen Brown at 117. He took double the amount of contested threes as anyone else on the Celtics, 30%. So, and then very tightly contested. He took like 6, missed them all. So basically, if he takes a bad shot, it's not going to go in. And if he takes an open one, it is. So if he just knocks some of those tightly contested threes out, shifts them, and tries to find himself some more wide open threes, or just doesn't take them and either passes or gets into the mid range or tries to get to the rim, that 3-point percentage is going to climb up back into that 37, 38, 39. The really weird one was 29.2% on regular pull-up jumpers, 35.5 on step backs. So the step back was actually okay.
Wow.
It was like the normal pull-up coming off the pick and roll and just like getting into the shot that he was absolutely dreadful at last year. So really, that is like really strange. I almost think that might just be a shooting luck thing. But like it is so clear the less open he is, the worse he shoots, which like everybody is like that. But it's the fact that he takes so many tightly contested threes that's really dragging down his percentage, man. Like double Jaylen Brown, who takes his fair share.
Yeah, that's the Kobe gene right there.
Yeah,
He can't help himself.
Yeah, you guys both said it. Shot diet and where he gets his shots and how often he takes them is a huge element there. I also think beyond Marcus Smart, who's now gone, obviously, Tatum was like our number one. I have no stats to back this up, but just from the eye test, our number one late shot clock go-to shooter, often from beyond the arc. And those are not often good looks. They don't come within a good offensive flow, but you try and find your best player. I mean, I don't know why I'm doing quotes. Like, he is our best player for those shots. And unfortunately,
Jaylen Brown's not listening, Ben.
Of course. Maybe he is. Who knows? Those shots don't go down at a heavy clip generally. So shot diet is something that he can assess with his crew and with the team over the offseason. Do you guys think that shooting overall is going to be the number one skill that Tatum will be working on this offseason?
I think it should probably be playmaking. I'm not sure how much you can really work on that in the offseason. Working on his pick and roll comfort and playmaking, because I do think that that's going to be, as much as I would love for Tatum to shoot 40% from three next year, I think him taking a playmaking leap would have a bigger impact on the overall success of the team. That being said, I would imagine that that's what he's spending a lot of his time on is the 3-point shot and the floaters, like that in between range is that's the other piece of his scoring arsenal that isn't elite yet. And it was definitely his best year for floaters, even if the numbers were bad. I thought he just looked a lot better, and it was something that he looked to do a lot more. So I would expect that to come around more in the next season or two as well.
I have the shot clock numbers, Ben, and you
Look
are
at this
absolutely
guy go.
100% right. Between 7 and 4 seconds, so that's defined as late in the clock, 62 threes, 30.6%. Between 4 and 0 seconds, so very late in the clock, 59 threes, which is an insanely high number, 27% on those threes. So, yeah, like, you're right. Part of it is just, like, you're the best player. Sometimes you're going to have to take shitty shots. Like, that's just the nature of the gig. But, man, you're taking 100 and something late clock threes. Like, God, something's a little bit wrong with that. Part of that's probably because he pounds the ball a little bit.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't think it's just grenades, and he has to take. I think he brings that on himself at times, where if he just makes a decision 3-4 seconds earlier to either take the step back, and he's not fumbling around with the ball, or he just makes a play, gets downhill, tries to draw contact, finds a shooter. I think that, he could easily cut that down by like 30% pretty easily. How many times per game are we like, didn't love that shot? And it's probably like 2 to 3. And I think if you can cut that down to 1 to 2, that literally might be the difference between 35 and 38%.
Yep. Definitely.
So fixable, and yet we finished with the second-ranked offense last year, despite these like just very glaring holes, like just the volume on how many times we ended up with late shot clock Tatum threes on such a low percentage, and still finished with the second-ranked offense, and yet it's such a fixable quirk, schematically speaking. That bodes well. Then you add in Porzingis, who's like another guy who could be a go-to shooter in those late shot clock scenarios. Do we even get into them with the post-up opportunities that Porzingis affords us? Now I'm going down a rabbit hole that I won't at this point in time, but exciting things to come, hopefully, from the offensive perspective, and certainly with Tatum's shooting improvement this offseason.
Yeah, and look, 35% isn't great, but it's not a disaster. Like, if he just is a 35% three-point shooter for the rest of his career, plus his other improvements, he's going to be a first-team All-NBA guy for another 10 years, and that's a really good player. So, like, we're very happy with our good friend Jason Tatum, where he's currently at. But like, I would be shocked if he doesn't make a couple tweaks over the next year or two, where he's just like the efficiency. That's really the only knock, right, for non-Celtics fans, is like he has these inefficient games. It's like, can you just find a way to be a tiny bit more efficient? And once he does that, then it's over.
If you had to guess, outside of shot diet, which sounds like it's the unanimous decision from all of us as to why his shooting is continuing to gradually slump downwards, if you had to guess that it was something else, Spoonie, like, is it the wrist or is there something else going on?
I would say it's probably the wrist. If it's anything, I don't think it's the wrist, but if I have to pick something else, I'm going with the wrist, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I buy the wrist more than the muscle thing.
Yeah.
Like, if I had to pick between, if those are my two options, I would lean wrist issue. But like, Ben, I feel like you hold the Tatum wrist injury as you go to bed. It's like, once the wrist is better, he'll make every
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not nothing. Like, look what his wrist has been strapped with for the last 2 years. And then so I guess I was a little surprised to find out that he hasn't needed surgery on that wrist this offseason, and maybe that's a good thing. Like, obviously, at this point in his career, he'll do anything he can to give himself a better chance of obviously performing well individually, but winning a championship as well. And, if wrist surgery was in any way a necessity, I feel pretty confident that he would have gotten it at this point. So that probably plays down the severity of the injury to some degree. That said, I hope to see... There you go.
What?
Can we... strapped there in the picture.
Enhance. StreamYard. I don't see a wrist strap on the left wrist while he's pushing this sled that's got like 9 Jakes on it. So
sure.
I don't know.
9 Jake sled. That's now my personal goal for the remainder of the episode.
Big man name. 9 Jake sled.
All right. Let's leave it there. That is going to do it for this one. Thanks so much for joining us. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m., we're on the How About Them Celtics podcast for some trivia. You know that we love trivia here on this show, and then hopefully we'll have those guys back on our show later in the week for some of that game show style trivia that we've been doing the last couple of weeks. A bit of a trivia home and home there for you guys. Spoonie, Jake, love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celtics.